Welcome back to The Cinnamon Effect. I'm Kimberly Hand, and today I'm here with Stephen Edwards of Keha Wellness. Stephen is an herbalist, and his story is so interesting because he grew up foraging in the forests of Wales and then became a tech entrepreneur and then came back to his passion of herbs and herbalism. And so we're going to take that journey with Stephen today and learn more about this. This is something that's so intriguing to me. And we actually met at a grand opening with Dr. Gandhi, and I tried your teas. Amazing.
Oh,
So like just delicious and mild. Didn't taste like I was drinking, like a lot of herbs, I guess, but I just really, really loved it. And I was like, you got to come on the podcast.
well, yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And lovely to see you again.
Yes, it's so great. So take me through being a child in Wales and foraging in the forest
Okay.
with your grandmother, right?
Well, yeah, with my family.
Yeah.
My grandmother and my parents. I grew up in a beautiful town called Conway. There's a 11th century castle that still remains. And Wales is beautiful and innocent and lovely, and I had that in my childhood. I was very immersed in nature, and I was always, I used to go foraging with my family, and we would forage for, a ton of stuff like nettle leaf and cleavers and elderflower and elderberry and wild garlic and apples. There's so many apples everywhere in England and Wales. And so I think, interestingly, one of my favourite herbs is nettle leaf.
Okay.
Just for its health benefits, and I love the taste and how I feel after drinking it. But my early experience of nettle was not so such a good one.
Oh.
I was hanging around with two boys that were a bit older than me. I think I was 6 years old, and these boys were 9 years old. And I remember we were climbing up something in a field, and it was like on a mound, and there was a big nettle patch, and they jumped over it, and then they were like, "Come on, you can do it," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know," and then I jumped and landed right in the middle of the stinging nettles.
The stinging nettles.
Yes,
I've heard
that's
of
right,
those.
yeah.
So what, they actually just like sting your skin?
Yeah, the botanical name is Urtica dioica, but they really hurt. They hurt, yeah. So I remember jumping into, and they were taller than me, these nettles, and I landed in the middle of them and remember screaming. And I think the line I probably said to myself back then was, "I never want to see a nettle ever again." And then now it's my favorite herb, but I'm a herbalist, and yeah, I love nettle.
Look at you now,
There
right?
we go, yeah.
Well, we had this conversation, so I want to break this down because we
Okay.
just were talking. I said, is it herb or
Okay.
is it herb? Right? And what did you say?
Well, we use the H, but I think Americans drop the H, or I wouldn't say Home Depot, I'd say Home Depot, but there you go. So
What are we doing here in America with the H?
who knows? Who knows? But yeah. So there you go. So I grew up in a beautiful part of the world, and I miss it from time to time. I enjoy going back. I miss being amongst the plants, So I go for a walk, even just down the street, and you've got cleavers, you've got burdock, you have plantain leaf, there's elderberry, elderflower is everywhere. It's so abundant in the UK and in Europe.
I love elderberry. Like, is that something that you make, like elderberry syrups and things like that?
I actually, I kind of started out really in my herbal curiosities, making elderberry syrup and selling it in a local shop in England. And that's kind of how I sort of sparked this passion back in me. I'll tell you a bit of the backstory. So I grew up in Wales. In my adult life, I moved to London, and I kind of, in my adult life, switched off from this desire of, being amongst nature because I was running the rat race, so to speak. And then I met my wife. I was a teacher then. I was doing teaching tech in East London, which was interesting. And then I moved to New York, which I then opened a tech business there, tech sales business. I think I've always had this calling to do. I've always been fascinated by nutrition and herbalism. I knew there was a calling there. I just didn't believe that there was a career that I could carve out with that, you know. And so I was in the tech world. My skill set's in tech, but my passion is in herbal medicine, you know.
Yeah. So you were saying that you had kind of an awakening during COVID, right? Because you were back in Wales.
Correct.
And you got stuck.
Correct. Yeah. So that's where all the spark reignited, if you like, from my childhood. And it was, we went back for Christmas 2019 into 2020. And I'd had surgery when I was a kid down there. And I developed a hernia in my adult life. And they'd said I may develop a hernia because of the area where they did surgery in the abdominal wall, and it happened. I developed a hernia on New Year's Day on 2020, so we had to make some choices, and we decided to stay for the free healthcare in the UK. And it's a 5-week recovery, and as I was recovering, we went into lockdown.
Oh my gosh!
And lockdown was serious over there.
Yeah,
we were looking at social media over here, and people were on the beach still and still eating out in restaurants. We were in the UK. It was serious lockdown.
Wow.
You know, neighbours would rat out other neighbours if their family members would turn up, and the police would turn up. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
So I think the highlight of our days and weeks in the UK during the lockdown was we'd get dressed up to go to the supermarket for 2 hours. You know, that's literally was our fun day out, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I decided to get one of those little seats on the back of my bike, and I'd take my boy, who was then 4 years old, into the forest every day. And that's, like I said, that's where the real learning began.
Wow.
I'm passionate. I kind of get off on the botany side of plants. It's the how it can be used as a food, how it can be used as a medicine, what are the health benefits of that, you know. So I went into the forest every day and foraged, and I learned how to make tinctures and decoctions and electuaries, which are another name for like a herbal candy, as where you mix honey with a powdered herb. Roll it into balls, and then you can. It's a good way to get herbs into your body, especially for kids.
Electuary,
but
okay.
I just call it herbal candies,
okay.
just for ease. But yeah, the herbalism name is electuaries, yeah, and it's great. You know, you can dip them. I do workshops with the kids in the nature school in Delray. The Cocoa Plum Nature School, and
cool.
then and we do that, and I dip them in chocolate. They get to make them, and we dip them in chocolate afterwards, just to make them a bit more palatable. And
yum!
Yeah,
I think like an elderberry chocolate one. I love elderberry because I think
yeah,
what I've learned
wonderful.
about it, the immune benefits. Yeah,
it's a wonderful herb, wonderful fruit, and yeah, you can get. I mean, slippery elms are a wonderful herb for the gut. So usually you'd mix slippery elm powder with some honey, roll it into balls, and until you get a stiff dough, and then you just tear a piece off and roll it into a ball, and then that's what you consume. But yeah, you can do it with powdered elderberry, with mint. I try to use a few flavor herbs to make it taste good, especially for kids, and then try and get some really good nourishing herbs in there, like your nettle, again, lemon balm, whatever it may be, comfrey leaf, you know. So yeah.
So during COVID, you're locked down in Wales.
So lockdown in Wales. Well, we're actually in England, but we so I was just foraged every day, and I learned. I was making. I was
Your
actually.
son loved it. Your son was
He
so into
loved it.
it.
We'd have little picnics in the forest, and
Oh, it sounds so like dreamy and
oh, and do you know,
storybook.
I'm very grateful, even though it was a hard time for all of us through the pandemic. I think there's some bounce back stories that a lot of us have had. You know, I think it's changed the direction for many of us in our careers and in our relationships. And I'm very thankful to my wife at the time, because she was the main breadwinner at that point. I'd actually closed my tech sales business just before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
So she kind of took over the hat of the main breadwinner, and she kept us afloat financially during the pandemic. And while we were stuck out there, for 14 months.
14 months. That's not a
Yeah,
short time.
exactly.
So after
So
14 months, you've been kind of living this different life, right?
yes, yeah.
You come back to New York?
Our plan was to leave. We were going to leave Delray, move back to New York City, and we were going to get an apartment in the city and do that for a year or two whilst our boy was still outside of the school age, if you like. And then New York, just as you may know, was just a different place after the pandemic. So we decided to come back down here to South Florida. So
So what is foraging like? I mean, I'm born and raised here, and we do have some nature,
Yeah.
right? But like, are you able to forage here or not really? Like, I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, not like back home. I miss that, you know. I miss that up north as well. You have saw palmetto berries here. Your lemongrass, holy basil, moringa leaf. It's things like nettle leaf that doesn't. It can grow here, but it doesn't. It needs richer, more moist conditions, you know. So nettle leaf doesn't really grow here. Elderberry is everywhere. Not everywhere. You can find it here. It's not
Okay.
everywhere. Sorry, but yeah.
Like, are there certain places? Like, I'm thinking like. I don't know. I'm thinking like, well, I guess you couldn't do it in like a state park, right? Or something.
Yeah,
you can.
And
Okay.
like the nature reserves and things like
Okay.
that, you do see, especially elderberry, and it's not really seasonal. It grows sort of all year round, which is special.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
bet walking through the forest with you is like very interesting because something I would just walk by and probably not think it's anything. You're
it's
like you can spot it like it's gold, huh?
yeah, and that to me it fascinates me, and it used to blow my mind when I was a kid. I'd be like, so that person's walking to the grocery store and they're all out of spinach, yet we could go and harvest a load of nettle, and nettle's a much more nutritious plant than spinach. It's so wonderful and tastes so good as a soup, you know.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and that kind of really kind of it blew my mind in a way how we've lost. It's kind of that lost information that we don't. Cleavers is everywhere in the UK, and it's a wonderful tonic for the lymphatic system. It's very good for clearing out heavy metals and toxins from the blood. And the lymph nodes, you know, and it's everywhere. It's abundant, and it makes great risotto. You can make a wonderful risotto from it: cleavers risotto, nettle risotto.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think more so as if I go back to my studies of the plants during the pandemic, I made 110 bottles of elderflower wine. I made blackberry wine. I always wanted to try wine making. So I made 110 bottles of elderflower wine, which is wonderful.
What'd you do with the wine? Were you giving it to people?
I was giving it to friends and family, and then I remember my father had found a bottle of elderflower wine that he'd made when we were kids, and he'd found it when he was a kid. Sorry, he found it when I was a child from when he was a child. It was a 20-year-old bottle of elderflower wine, and I remember him saying it was so wonderful. I couldn't drink it, of course, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
But so I made wine. I was going into the liquor store every day to get bottles of white alcohol to make the tinctures. So I'd make a rosehip tincture, hawthorn tincture, the nettle, the lavender, yarrow, rosemary. So many different tinctures. And with a tincture, you simply pick a fresh plant. You can pick it from the garden if you've got lemongrass growing. You know, a lot of Floridians may have lemongrass or moringa leaf. Moringa is a very good blood detoxifier. It's very good at lowering blood sugar levels. And you can just pick the fresh plant, stick it in a jar, pour over white vodka or gin, and leave it for ideally 6 to 12 months. But I mean, it's good after 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But the longer you leave it, the more medicinal constituents will be pulled out of the plant material. But
What's the difference of consuming an herb like that in a tincture versus like in a supplement form, in a pill or something like that?
So when I actually got back to the US, and I had this sort of herbal knowledge, I studied, I did home study and so on. I was like, right, I'm going to open a supplement brand.
Oh,
I'm
interesting.
going to have a whole range of supplements. And then I learned from a few more herbalists over here, and they were like, supplements, and in herbalism, supplements are deemed as drugs. Because once you pick something from a tree and you dry it out, there's a process. And then you grind it up. There's another process. You then grind it into a fine powder. It's another process. And then once you cramble that powder into a capsule, it becomes very different to this point to when it's been grown on a tree.
Okay.
And it's then deemed differently. And you know, there's many schools or schools of thought, or there's many camps where functional practitioners may administer capsules. I do recommend capsules for chronic conditions, but as an everyday preventative, supplements aren't generally looked upon in the herbalism world. So, and the reason for that is the body breaks down that capsule, that supplement, very differently to a different herbal preparation. The body recognizes it differently, it absorbs it differently, and sometimes it can be a lot of stress on the liver depending on the herb. So for a tincture is tinctures should be looked at as a medicine more so than a nourishing herbal product. So tincture is it's plants that are soaked, fresh plants that are soaked in alcohol generally. You can use the glycerin, the glycerites, which you may have used glycerin tinctures before yourself.
Yes, I've used different tinctures at different.
So if you buy a tincture online, typically, and they're sweet and syrupy, that's usually used from vegetable glycerin, which some people like that because it's non-alcoholic for obvious reasons. Some people like that, but alcohol's a better menstruum for extracting the constituents from the plant, the medicinal constituents from the plant. So that's how that process works. The alcohol takes that medicine out of the plant, and then you use that on a very, very, very small dose. And it's very safe. It's safe for children. Because it's used in such small doses, it's safe for all of us, you know. So, yeah, that's the tincture basically.
Yeah, and you have tinctures, you have the teas, which is what I sampled when I met you, and beautiful teas. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that, like how you come up with the blends? Because you brought me Love Thy Lungs.
Yeah, that's my personal favorite.
And the Dream Easy. So the Love Thy Lungs, which I actually, when I met you, my son was having, had like this lingering cough, you know, so this one was perfect.
Oh, great.
And then, the Dream Easy, which I think everyone, you know, could use. The valerian root. I feel like I had that in some catnip, holy basil. So lavender, chamomile, valerian root, passion flower, skullcap, rose petal, lemon
Yeah.
balm, holy basil, and catnip.
Catnip. Yeah, that freaks people out, the catnip. Yeah.
Right?
But
They're
catnip,
like, what is this?
yeah, catnip's a wonderful herb for calming the central nervous system. Generally, the sleep tea has a lot of calmative herbs that calm the central nervous system, promote relaxation. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to put my passion into a range of products, and that's what I did with the teas. I took one or two key ingredients, two or three maybe, depending on which tea it is, two or three ingredients for the ailment, along with flavor herbs, and then bring them together so you get a really good tasting tea.
Yeah, your tea. I was the Love Thy Lungs that I had. There's a lot of like powerhouse things in here, but it tastes very like it tastes mild. Because I
Right.
feel like that could be the turnoff for some people is that maybe it just doesn't taste good. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's too much, or
And
too earthy tasting or something.
And that's what I wanted to go with. And I also find that there's a lot of herbal teas out there that can be quite bland or boring to drink, So I wanted to, it took me a while to craft each blend. And I have 40 or 50 blends that I'd like to roll out over the next few years. But part of me doesn't want to offer too much selection because, I think keep it within sort of 8 to 12 teas right now. And
Yeah.
But
I liked how you said though you try and keep it simple.
Yeah.
As far as the tinctures, not to have a tincture of 16 different things
I
in
remember
them.
that. I mentioned that to you.
You
Okay.
did.
Oh,
You
great,
did.
great.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad I did.
I like that. Keep it simple because I think people get a little overwhelmed with too
Yeah.
much going on.
I think again when I studied herbalism, it's very important to remember, or it's very important to work with each plant individually if you can. So I do sell a few blends of tinctures, but typically it's better to work with one plant at a time and see what works for you and your body. I think there's this misconception out there that herbs don't work, and people try something once and go, "Oh, it doesn't work." It's not as good as pharmaceuticals, but herbs do work. I mean, look at cannabis, for example. Look at what effect that has on us. I certainly can't function on cannabis. I don't consume cannabis anymore. I did in my younger days, but
Yeah.
some people can function on it well, but it really affects us in quite a big way. It's a strong herb, and herbs do work. I think it's important to work with each individual herb. Valerian root is the key ingredient in the sleep tea, yet for most of us, it's a very relaxing herb. It's very good at promoting relaxation. That's what I'm trying to say. But for some people, a minority, it can actually have the opposite effect and stimulate. So what works for, my point in that is what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the next. So when it's important not to buy tinctures that have 16 different herbs in there, because if it gives you a headache, or if you feel a bit sleepy off it, or whatever it might be, you can't determine what herb that is in there that's causing that,
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, what
Yeah.
is the root of you not reacting well to it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or it really works, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, what is it that
What is
really
it
is
that's
working? Yeah, yeah.
That's right. So, and then, I'm not a healthcare practitioner. I need to state that. This is for educational purposes only, of course.
Yeah.
But my stomach's growling.
Yeah.
But I think
Breakfast time, lunchtime, maybe.
lunchtime. So I think it's important to remember that it's very rare cases where people die from consuming herbs. It's where somebody's ground a seed from a peach into a powder and then eaten lots of capsules and crammed it into capsules and eaten that and then caused liver failure or whatever. It's very, very rare that these things happen. So I would say trust the plants. Herbal medicine is people's medicine. It's people have the control and the power in what they choose to consume and learn about. We have the wonderful internet to give us, as long as you find the right sources for the information, there's a wealth of information out there for us to go ahead and do our research and speak to people like myself about what's good for this, what's good for that, and trust the herbs and try the herbs. And if you're on medication, it's okay to play around with specific herbs and, again, trust in the plants.
Yeah. Is there anyone that should not consume herbs, like in your opinion? Like if there's anybody with, I don't know, a certain kind of issue or anything?
Not really. I mean, usually, like St. John's wort, for example, I've heard of people taking a St. John's wort tincture and it's affected their medication, a slow release medication. And what that usually is a lot of people, the question I get asked a lot is this safe to take with my medication? Arguably, it should be the other way around, in my opinion.
Yes. Is your medication
safe to take with this herb? And like St. John's wort, for example, it ramps up the liver's ability to process toxins. So if you're taking a slow release capsule for whatever it might be, slow release pain reliever or something like that, the St. John's wort helps the liver process that medication quicker, which then can have a side effect to somebody who. So I'd say seek advice from a medical practitioner or a herbalist who can guide you on what herbs are safe. But generally, especially in the teas, they're all safe herbs. Obviously, somebody who's pregnant or breastfeeding, that's when I would avoid specific herbs. But yeah, in general, they're generally very safe. And in answer to your question before, I do workshops, monthly workshops in different locations down in Delray and different places. And I talk about the healing power of herbs and the difference between a tea, a tincture, and a herbal infusion. So herbal infusions are wonderful.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so herbal infusions, and I love to geek out on the science behind things. And so a tea, you get 5 to 10% of the medicinal benefits of the plant. Some of the plants in there are considered high in volatile oils, so they could potentially be toxic to the body if consumed in quantity over a long period of time. But like chamomile has a volatile oil in there called azulene, and azulene is very toxic to the body if it's consumed. If you were to consume the essential oil of chamomile, it would be potentially hard for the liver to break down the oil, the volatile oils or the essential oil. But because
even like topically too.
No, I'm talking internally.
Oh, just like if you took it. Okay.
So when you're consuming it as a tea, though, because it's steeped for a short period of time, and it's minimal, you're gonna get the health benefits with no sort of dangerous effects. Does that make sense? A tincture again is a medicine, so that's where the medicinal constituents of the plants are extracted, and then it's created a potent medicine, which is then kept in the medicine cabinet for when is needed. An infusion is more like a food. That's how I kind of like to sell it, if you like. It's nourishment to the body, so it's a lifestyle change that is better than any supplement on the planet. I'll stand with that to my grave. That is the nettle leaf infusion, for example, is a wonderful, wonderful tonic for the body.
And you're taking that?
No, you drink it.
You're drinking it, okay.
So this is what I demonstrate in my workshops is, you would get a glass jar, you put an ounce of dried nettle, for example, or linden. Linden's another wonderful herb. you would put the ounce of dried nettle in a jar, pour over a quart of boiling water,
Okay.
stir it, put the lid on, and then leave it overnight for 8 hours. And again, the science behind it is if you wanted to get minerals out of a rock, what would you have to do? You'd have to break the rock open to get the minerals out. Mm-hmm. It's the same with the plants. So the plant cell wall is very strong, and we have to, by adding boiling water and leaving it for the time under combustion, it breaks that plant cell wall, and then pulls all the goodness out of the plant, all the minerals. Minerals are rocks, right? Minerals are tough constituents. They can't move around very easily. So by making the infusion and leaving it over time, it pulls all that goodness out of the plant.
And then you just drink
and
it.
then you drink it, yeah.
Do you drink in small amounts, or?
So what I typically do is that makes a litre or 32 ounces. I'll drink that through the day, and I'll rotate each herb each day. So, and nettle is, oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And I talk about the health benefits in my workshops, but so you would strain it off after. So typically make it before bed.
Okay.
You'd boil the water, go and brush your teeth, come back, pour the water over the herb, put the lid on, go to bed, wake up the next morning, strain it off. It sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. It's just add it to your daily routine. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Strain it off, put it into a bottle with a funnel, and then put it in the fridge, then drink that through the day. So just replace a little bit of your water consumption with that. And I drink one of those a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and nettle is wonderful for kidney health, liver health, like acne on skin. It's very good at regulating periods. It's a powerhouse of calcium and all. It's got all the metals that we need, all the precious metals, all the selenium, the copper, the zinc, the magnesium. Everything's in there. It's wonderful.
Wow. It's so funny that because I see your eyes light up about the nettle.
I love it.
We were in the countryside of England over the summer, and there was a guy doing falconry, and he had his birds, and the birds were flying and landing on our arms, and it was very, very cool. But he said, if you take, he liked to talk, and he said, if you take one thing from this session aside from the birds, is drink nettle tea. That's what he told me.
Wow.
So, and this is like before I met you,
Wow.
but he was like, it's just so good for you and this and that. And I guess because you're saying it's so abundant there that, he was like a big proponent of it too. So I feel like I'm going to have to add that into my routine. So can someone get the nettle, the herbs from you, and we can do that? We can do the infusion ourselves.
Yes.
Or do you do the infusion?
So in my workshops, I just educate people on
Teach people how to do it.
And they get to taste each infusion and, but so I don't sell the infusions, but I generally recommend people to use some of the leaders in the organic dried herb suppliers. So Frontier Co-op is very good.
Okay.
They're one of the main guys. Star West Botanicals, Mountain Rose Herbs. There's a couple of others, but typically those three.
Okay.
As long as it's organic, you can pick up a 16-ounce bag of nettle for somewhere between $15-$20. So for 80 cents a day, we certainly spend a lot of money each day on a Starbucks, but for like 80 cents to $1 a day, we can make a whole litre, and hand on heart, they will change your life if you introduce it as a lifestyle change. And nettle's wonderful for bone health. There's a multitude of stories where I've heard of people who have been on osteoporosis and kidney transplant list, and they've reversed it. There's so many benefits to drinking these herbs. And then
what's another one that you like? You love the nettle.
So linden is there was a study that shows linden is 100 times more powerful as an anti-inflammatory to turmeric.
Really?
Yeah,
and turmeric is getting all the glory.
Turmeric's a buzz herb, And turmeric's wonderful. It can be a bit of an irritant to some people's gut linings, but turmeric's wonderful. Turmeric's great for like creating a yellow coating in the colon, a protective coating against polyps and any other sort of nasties that could come from our westernized lifestyle. But yeah, linden is, again, it's a fantastic anti-inflammatory herb. It's very good. It's very mucilaginous. So if you think of maple syrup over here and you think of water over here, if you come in a little bit, it's a little bit, it's a demulcent, so it's very...
Like a little
like
thicker.
a little bit thicker, a little bit kind of gluier to normal, to water. Oh, excuse me. And it's that mucilage that coats inflammation and gives inflammation a big hug. It helps reduce. So
I'm going to think about that with the
oh
linden.
yeah, the linden, and it tastes amazing.
Oh, it does. What's the taste like?
It's hard to describe. It's just
Okay.
it's very floral. It's a floral taste, so it's very, very delicious on ice. And people think of it as an iced tea. It's effectively looks like an iced tea, and it is consumed like an iced tea, but it's more than an iced tea. Again, because you're soaking it for 8 hours and you're breaking that plant cell wall, you're getting all that goodness out of the plant.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. I want to try that because that's not something that I do, but I'm into that. What about, so like an infusion, you're talking about infusion in water and then you drink it, but what about an infusion in like a carrier oil for skin or something? Do you do anything with that? Okay.
Yeah, so I have done, making herbal oils is really amazing. You can make some salves or lip balms. Again, this is stuff that I do with the kids in the school or with my students. So in my workshop, people get to make their own tea bags. So I put some different dried herbs out on the table and some empty tea bags, and they get to mix a few in, make their own, and take them home with them. We seal them up.
that.
Yeah. And the same each month, I change the theme. So one month they might make some herbal candies, electroberries. Other months maybe a lip balm, and the oils. So you would create a double boiler. You can use fresh or dried, but I personally prefer dried. Dried's a bit better because the water soluble properties are out of the plant because it's dried. You would put some dried calendula flower, comfrey leaf, both very healing for the skin. Very good for eczema, for any wounds, very good healing. Comfrey is wonderful for healing wounds. And you would typically put the dried herbs in, pour over some carrier oil, so maybe coconut oil or avocado oil or olive oil. And you'd let it boil on a low heat for hours, maybe 8 hours. It's a lot of work. It's a bit of work, but it's worth it, you know. And yeah, you just boil the herbs in the oil, and then strain that off. And typically, what I like to do is then do it all over again with that oil that we've just made, and do another double strength oil, and then that's the base then for any of your skin products. So you throw in some beeswax, some shea butter, a bit of castor oil, maybe a little bit of essential oil for the smell.
Yeah.
A bit of lavender essential oil, just a few drops of that, and then and you can make so much product from just a bit of oil, a bit of shea butter.
Yeah.
You make
I love
skin
that.
creams, salves, lip balms, like I say. Yeah.
You're like a scientist,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I just, I love that there's just the healing properties of the plants, and that we can, it's something that we can do ourselves,
Yeah. And you consult people. Like,
Yes.
can someone reach out to you and consult with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I work on an hourly rate for consultations, and I make customized preparations for people if they have specific ailments,
Oh, interesting. Can you talk about one maybe that you've made recently?
Yeah. Actually, an interesting story. So there's So I sell on Etsy and Amazon,
Okay.
and a guy calls me up from Etsy and says, a customer who'd bought my product. He was an older guy who lived up in Wisconsin, and he had a welding business for many years, and he was a heavy smoker. I think he was telling me something, I can't remember properly what the welding industry had caused. I can't remember what the process was that caused the lung damage, but he had really bad lungs. And he said, I bought your Love Thy Lungs tea off of Etsy, and he said, it's phenomenal, it's changed my life, he said. And every day he was checking his blood oxygen levels with a device. And I think his oxygen levels were at 92, and people were dying of COVID at 90.
Wow.
And a normal range is about 99. So he called me up and he said, since drinking the tea over a month or two, his blood oxygen levels have gone back up to 99.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh. So he said, I want to buy a year's supply of. I was like, okay. So he's given me his credit card details over the phone to buy a year's supply of tea. And I'm like, what's happening? $1,000 worth of tea. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So I said to him, I said, the key ingredient in the Love Thy Lungs tea is mullein leaf. Mm-hmm. Mulleин's wonderful for, again, I'm not a healthcare practitioner, so these herbs support or may support, I have to say. Mm-hmm. But mullein's wonderful, or can be wonderful, at supporting the lungs with asthma. If it's taken over a long enough period of time, I've heard of stories of it reversing asthma.
Wow.
Really opens up the airways. Anything respiratory, it's very good at clearing mucus and so on. So I said to him, the two main ingredients are mullein and elecampane roots. So I said, it would be worth trying the tincture. So typically the teas are good as an everyday for people, but if someone's got a chronic issue, I would recommend a more potent extract of the plant for that specific issue. So a mullein leaf and an elecampane root tincture for the respiratory health.
Yeah.
So he did that, and I sent him a bottle for free, and then he tried it, and he said, I can go out of the house now, and I can walk down the street, and I don't have to stop. He said, I'm no longer out of breath.
Yeah.
And he was just like, thank you so much, and he bought a year's supply of that as well.
Yeah. That's amazing, though.
Yeah,
what a great story.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I hear of many stories. The slippery elm in the gut health tea is the key ingredient. Slippery elm's wonderful for recolonizing the good gut bacteria, a bit like a probiotic. It's wonderful at creating a thick mucal, and again, it's mucilaginous, like the linden. Mm-hmm. It's very thick in its consistency, and it's that mucilage that creates a thick mucal layer on the stomach lining, and it's that mucal layer that the good gut bacteria go nuts for. They're in there.
I have that one at home. I have the gut tea, which, I think we all, we're all kind of struggling with gut issues,
Oh, yeah.
And if you drink alcohol or you eat certain, processed foods, you've got some gut issues that you need to support. What about detoxification? Because I think that's another thing, we also all need to detoxify. We're being hit with so many things,
especially in this westernized, this grab and go sort of lifestyle that we maintain. There's so many wonderful detoxifying herbs. I was saying earlier about the cleavers, which is great for sort of, I call it, my analogy is like a toilet scrubbing brush for the lymphatic system. It's very good at sort of carrying out those heavy metals and toxins out of the bloodstream.
Do you have a detox tea?
Yes. The Organ Refresh. So I'm going to change the name actually to Organ Detox.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just because of FDA rule, we can't, the specific words we can't use on our products. So I can't use the word detox, for example. But so the organ refresh, a few key ingredients in there are the dandelion root, which is very good for the kidney health. It's very good at restoring kidney health, but also sort of detoxifying. The liver's a wonderful organ. The liver almost sheds a new skin every month or two. So the liver doesn't actually need detoxifying, even though there's this misconception that it does. But milk thistle almost nourishes the liver. So it doesn't detoxify it, but it speeds up it helps the liver to function better, to do what it's good at doing. So milk thistle, dandelion root, we said the Schisandra berry. Schisandra berry is wonderful it's called the 5 flavor herbs in Chinese medicine. It's called the 5 flavor herbs because it's sweet, it's sour, it's bitter, it's salty, it's one other, I can't remember the other one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Schisandra berry. Okay.
And it tastes,
she sounds very special.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Bring on down Schisandra. But I made it as an infusion recently, and I'd never tried it. And I kept the infusion, and I put it on chill, and I brought it to my workshop. And I said, so everybody, I have to warn you, I've not tried this before. So we all poured our cups out and said, right, cheers. And we all went, and everybody screwed their face because it's so sour. So it's not one for infusing. Unless you can mask it with something else. But I've tried mixing it with other infusions, and it just, that sourness comes through. But it's an astringent herb. So it's astringent, a very tightening to the body, but it's also an adaptogenic herb. Are you familiar with adaptogens?
Yes, I think they're amazing.
Yeah, they are. So there's many adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogens, the best way to remember and to see adaptogens is they adapt to the body. So if somebody goes to a doctor and says, I've got low blood pressure, the doctor will put them on this medication. If they go to the doctor for high blood pressure, they get put on this medication, but the medications are completely different, and they won't do the same job for each ailment. The beauty and the power of herbs, a lot of herbs, is that they help the body and they adapt to the problem that the body has. So an adaptogenic herb would lower blood pressure or raise blood pressure. So it adapts to the problem at hand. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I've actually never heard anyone say it so eloquently as you just
you.
did.
Thank you so much.
Because that makes a lot of sense, like in your, how you're saying it. So
adaptogen,
I love that.
Like astragalus is wonderful for long-term immunity, Schisandra berry there's been studies about its support as a preventative for specific cancers. Not as a cure. I'm not saying it's a cure. I'm just saying as a everyday preventative. It's wonderful for breast cancer and female health. It's a lady herb. I like to put it as. Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be a lady herb. It can be used for male health as well. But there's a few lady herbs that I like to call upon for female health.
Give them to us. Tell us.
Okay, well, I could talk for hours about this.
Give us to the ladies. What about like perimenopause?
So motherwort is wonderful for hot flashes. It's a very cooling herb. Motherwort's wonderful for a multitude of things. Wonderful for cramping, heavy bleeding, for a range of female conditions. Female health as a preventative, and just wonderful herb. Red clover is very good. Red clover is actually fed to lactating cows because it's so good at nourishing milk. Nursing cow's milk is fantastic for that.
I do remember this breastfeeding and someone saying, red clover. Yeah,
wonderful.
That's good.
So that's another lady herb. What was the other one? I'm trying to think. It's gone out of my head. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. We'll have to.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, because you're opening a place,
Yes.
a tea and apothecary,
Apothecary, yes.
in Delray Beach.
Yeah.
And people will be able to
so
come in
excited.
there and custom make teas. And will you have your tinctures? And
Oh, everything. Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
So
I'm so excited about this.
Oh, I'm so excited too. It's I currently sell the teas in 16 different vendors locally. I do the green market once a week in Delray, but I don't have a physical location, which I'm going to have soon. So that's going to be the Keha Wellness Tea and Coffee Apothecary. And for those people who know Delray downtown, it's going to be on the avenue, and it's next to Lemongrass. It's the Collective, which is the artisan store. So the Collective is a collection of different artisans, whether it's jewelry or handmade products or clothing or so on. But in the back, they have a tiny little room, just a little bedroom-sized room like this. But yeah, I've got the builders in at the moment helping me construct
I love that.
so we can turn that. So yeah, so it's going to be, I'm going to have the herbal teas for sale, some iced teas, the infusions. I'm going to bottle them up and sell those. The infusions only last for sort of 24 to 48 hours, depending on the herb, because some of them are a good source of protein. And
interesting.
Yeah.
You would not think protein.
No, you wouldn't. No,
Okay.
the nettle leaf, for example, and the bacteria love it as well, you see, so that's why it doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
But yeah, good source of protein. Nettle's very good. I'm going to dive back into the herbs again, but nettle is very good. It's a good source of energy, like natural energy. We all sort of drink, well, some of us drink coffee to stimulate the adrenal or the cortisol response, but the nettle leaf, it's the nettle that stimulates the adrenals, and it's just a wonderful source of natural energy, you know.
I think the nettle is one that we all need to add.
Yeah, we all need to add.
Right? And I'm definitely going to add it
Yeah.
into it. So
I'm gonna sell.
that leads me to a good question though, because I'm caffeine sensitive. I don't do any coffee. So are there certain herbs that I should stay away from?
There's some herbs that contain caffeine,
Okay.
especially like the green teas and the black teas and so on.
Okay. Yeah, those I feel like I know, but is there another one like that maybe
Like
I would not?
The yerba mate,
Okay.
ginkgo,
Oh yeah, ginkgo. Yeah, I've always kind of.
things like that. But I would just say sort of Google it if you're having sort of, or ask myself, if you've got questions prior. But so all the teas I make are all caffeine free, apart from the fasting tea, which contains matcha green tea and ginkgo and yerba mate.
Okay, so you get a little.
Yeah,
little
so
energy.
exactly. But so back to the shop. So we're going to be selling the tinctures, tincture blends. I do customized tincture blends, and then the niche thing is customized teas. So somebody can come in and ask for something for maybe a migraine, or they can just come in and design their own tea if they like, and they can choose 6 different herbs. I might recommend a couple of herbs for a specific ailment, and then these are good for flavor. Lavender might be good, lemon balm, orange peel, rose, hibiscus, all those wonderful flavors.
Yeah.
And then just combine them. Give me an hour and come back, and the tea bags will be ready.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so fun. You need to do like parties and have all kinds of things going on.
Tea parties, and so it's going to be all the herbal preparations there. The electuaries, the balms. Got a lot of work ahead of me.
Yes, you do. You better get. Will you make everything on site? Or?
The FDA coming, or the USDA gonna. I'm kind of. That's what the builders are doing now, trying to get me ready for FDA approval, and then commercial kitchen can commence, and we can.
Wow,
prepare,
that's so exciting! I love that.
Yeah, and then
I love that.
I've partnered with not partnered. I've agreed with a couple of local vendors that make the Pure Life Gym, who prepare sandwiches and wraps and things. Yeah, so they're protein balls and sort of healthy healthy twist on
Oh, that
things.
sounds
So, yeah, some of the
great.
stock there, grab and go food. So yeah, it's all good.
I love that. I love that. I want to wrap up
Okay.
with what, because I feel like your story is one of finding the passion in life and kind of abandoning, what doesn't serve you and moving into this new phase. Like, can you give any inspiration or advice for pivoting, really
Yeah.
pivoting?
I think for me, again, my skill set was in IT, but my calling was for the herbs. But I didn't quite know that. I used to scratch me. I used to think, oh, what would a career be like in nutrition? But I suppose a lot of it was down to self-belief, So I'd just say to anybody, just do it, Just if you're thinking about it, do it. Go out there, believe in yourself. There's no better cheerleader than yourself. You can look upon loved ones and family members, but do what your heart desires and what you're calling. Find your calling in life. I Before the pandemic had hit and I dived into herbalism, I studied nutrition to become a holistic health coach. But health coaching, as wonderful as it is, it just didn't feed me to coach other people nutritionally, and that's where that kind of herbal spark. I realized very quickly that herbalism is my botany is kind of the exciting part for me. So yeah, just go out there and do it, and just just go for it, live the dream, and
I love that. I love that. I feel like it's very niche to be an herbalist.
Yeah.
Would you say there's not many, or
I think the thing that was holding me back, and it holds a lot of people back from herbalism, is what if I don't know something about that herb and somebody asks me? And there's it's herbalism is lifelong learning. There's so many plants out there. There's so many, and the science is also evolving, and we're learning much more about how the body works and how herbs work with the body and so on. So things are always evolving. I think it's very important to keep learning and feed that passion. And that's one thing I did. I was I keep going back to the pandemic, but during the pandemic, and I was going into the forest every day, I had to pick up a small time job whilst my wife was holding us up. But I found a very relaxed part-time delivery job, and I had podcasts of some of the famous herbalists. Susan Weed, I have so much to thank her for. She has a wonderful array of books on women's health. She's the founder of the Wise Woman tradition. Not sure if you've up in New York, and she's created some wonderful books for for female health, for even for animals, for cats and dogs, herbalism for cats and dogs, and so I just listened to her podcast day and night. As soon as I got into a vehicle and turned the engine on, the podcast would come on, and I just listened and listened and listened. So keep learning, feed your passion, and you can do it. With herbalism, I think people worry about. I think it's really important that we pass on this knowledge, because there's a lot of lost knowledge, whether it's from. I don't want to start bashing the pharmaceutical industry, but I think there's a lot of lost knowledge for many reasons, and I believe that, again, herbal medicine is people's medicine, and I have a duty as a herbalist to pass on that information to people, and I love that. If money was no object, I would just educate all day.
Yeah, that's so special.
Yeah.
It's like getting back to the root, like just the root of the plants and the earth and getting more in touch with that. Do you think your son is he interested in it?
He is actually.
That's cool.
He gets very excited about, he shows people. I've got a little herbal apothecary at home with all my jars on a shelf. I've got maybe 150 different herbs and jars, and he when somebody comes over, he'll be like, look at my daddy's apothecary.
I love that.
He loves it. Yeah. So, and, I make the balms, lip balms with him and do different things. And it's fun, he loves it. So
that's really cool.
He loves art. So I don't know if that's where his passion's going to take him in his later life. But I'd love it if he had some involvement in Keha Wellness, down the line. Yeah,
that's really special. I love that because I always think like the kids, we show them how to find the passion or the creativity. It's coming from us. So
encourage that. Yeah.
Stephen, so lovely to have you here. Thank you so much.
Hours more.
I know we could. I'm like. But I think we've got like some good groundwork here. And if anyone wants to dive a little deeper, they can contact you. What's the best way to contact you?
So via cell 561-501-1757, email. I'm very happy for people to bring their herbal curiosities to me. Steve, Steve, at kehawellness.com. I'm on Instagram. KehaWellness.com on the Instagram, and and then the tea can be found locally. I'm in Bednar's and the Boys, for those who know of those places. There's a few places up in Jupiter and Fort Lauderdale where the tea can be purchased, and and then we're opening up the Herbal Apothecary in next month.
In Delray Beach, on the Avenue. Can't wait to come down and make some custom tea.
Yeah, come in and have a tea. And
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
Brave
me.
man for putting your cell phone out there on.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
Only nice texting, please, guys.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. If you liked it, please rate, review, and share with someone you love. We'll see you next time.